Hey,
What's up, Justin? How's
two
it been?
weeks, 2 weeks. And
Yes.
I know that you've been going through craziness and the whole world is going through craziness. This is like
Yeah. And they're
zombies,
related.
Walking Dead. This is like crazy, crazy times.
I think half my craziness is directly related to the world's craziness. It's a really
Okay,
bad time to be a digital nomad. I'll just say that.
nice.
So yeah, on the good side, since it's been 2 weeks, I have managed to sleep 75 hours. I have gone out for 5 runs, and
Wow.
I've worked out 3 times at the park,
My gosh.
crushing all my goals. But it's kind of cheating since I had an extra week to do it.
hmm Oh, that was all your 1 week's goals. I see.
Yes, yes. Well, by next call, I think is what I said. But yeah, so that and just dealing with a bunch of well, I'll just say it really quickly, I guess. So my two issues. One is residency. Right now, you can't be a digital nomad in anywhere around East Asia or most places probably. So I have been scrambling to get residency in Taiwan because this is where I spend most of my time. And it was should have been just about impossible, but I think I'm going to do it because there is a short list of basically startup and entrepreneurial incubators that can get you fast tracked for an entrepreneur visa. And one of them
Yeah.
reached out and has sponsored me. The Bureau of Consular Affairs, I believe it's called, accepted the application. So I don't have it back yet. I don't have the visa in my hand, but by next week I should, and then I can use that to get residency. So that's dealt with. Well, it's 70% dealt with. Then the crazy thing is Chase Bank just shut down my account 10 days ago, stranded me without a bank account or card, and it was like unopenable. And I have spent so many hours on hold, trying so many different things, talking to so many people who have more insight into it than I do. And amazingly, the bureaucratic maze has been conquered, and I now have my debit card on me here in Taiwan working again, as opposed to a new debit card mailed to my grandma's house in Colorado. So I'm
Well, that
very,
both of those are fantastic. I mean, so it sounds
oh
like you're
yeah,
solving some major problems. This is like Elon Musk level problem solving.
the bank thing is the hardest thing I've dealt with in recent memory, and it's kind of sad because it's just reading and waiting on hold and trying various creative strategies to get through. But ultimately, yeah, it worked.
So
And
to recap, basically, they shut because of some family stuff. Your bank account accidentally, by no fault of your own, but not accidentally through something that happened in America, ended up being closed, and then you needed to work out how. And that was the bank account that was capturing all the money for
it
Alchemist
was
Camp
hooked. It was hooked up to Stripe. It
Stripes.
was hooked up to my debit card that I use to get money
And
for
there's like
things like
no way you
food
can
and
create a
rent.
new bank account from where you are.
Not
So
normally,
not an
but I
American one.
did.
Well,
I
so how did
did.
you? Tell me, well, how did you do
Okay,
this
so
feat of magic?
so what happened was my bank account had my grandmother's name on it, and she is now very old, has a guardian, like a court-appointed guardian, who went into the bank with papers that said shut down everything with her name on it, because she didn't even like think about it or realize this was my main bank account, and my grandmother didn't even use it, which is convenience that she was on it. Um, so I tried really hard to get that opened again. I talked to the banker who shut it down, and uh, basically, yeah, he just went through more and more channels, and I explained to him like, look, like if the bank account is closed and I don't have access to money and I have to travel back to the US, I can't come back to Taiwan with where my startup incubator is, where my friends are, where my apartment is, because only residents can travel now into Taiwan. And not only that, but I can't go home to my family's place because I have an 85-year-old grandmother there, and I don't have anywhere else to live in the U.S. right now. And it's the middle of a pandemic, so you really don't want to do this to your customer, right? And um, that plus a lot of time spent on hold and sending in requests, lots of channels, he finally was able to put through some transaction to reopen it, and that failed. And then, I just tried again and was able to open an account online, which you normally can't do because of know your customer regulations related to the Patriot Act. But since I had been with Chase for so long, and it was an extraordinary situation, they were able to flag something. So the account just opened, and opening that account created a new debit card automatically and closed my old debit card again, which they had managed to get reopened even though they didn't get the account open. And then that was impossible to reopen. And eventually I was basically just left with make a viral social media plea. And you talked to me last week about, how I might structure that, like what I would write, say on Hacker News or, post on YouTube, Reddit, Twitter. And I was just about to do it. I was hours away from launching it. And the banker that closed the account knew I was working on this. And maybe that was extra motivation.
That might have been enough to tip him over the edge, yeah.
Well, it wasn't just him. It was like his boss's boss's boss. Like it was...
So
it's a crazy thing how hard it is to reopen an account or to reopen a card.
Just the threat of that publicity made them think, oh, let's just sort this guy's case out.
I wasn't even threatening. I was just saying, like, I really need this, and I'm not going to go away, and I'm not going to stop, and I'm going to try to get in touch with anyone who can cut through the bureaucratic maze. And eventually, it's almost everything is okay now. Like I have a new account, but with my old card, which is on my person, and the only thing I've lost is, I guess, 12 years of banking records since I can't access the old one. But I can still do my taxes.
Well, congratulations on a solve. That's awesome. And then the immigration stuff. I mean, you've pulled another rabbit out of the hat by getting in contact with they're like an incubator, are they? What are they? Like a...
Yeah, I mean it's not like the same thing. It's not like Y Combinator. No, it's probably closer to Idea Lab.
Yeah,
like they incubate entrepreneurs. They don't take any equity, but they take fees, and they have a co-working space, which is obviously not a big draw right now. But they help you with your startup, and they help you with setting up local companies and stuff like that. So, and that's something I'll probably want to do as well. I like Alchemist Camp isn't incorporated in Taiwan or anything, and I'll probably do that at some point.
All right, so it's cool. So those are 2 wins. So then moving on to what I'm looking at on your screen here, it says Start Watch, track your side projects as they grow, and this, and with the Alchemist Camp logo, is this a new product?
No, this has been going for a while, and it's it was kind of like I guess it's technically a product, but it was a project I did while teaching stuff on Alchemist Camp.
Okay.
It goes out and it checks how many YouTube subscribers and videos and views and Twitter followers and what Alexa rank you have every day.
Okay.
So I can just see where I've been over time, and I use it for myself, but I also kind of keep an eye on some of my competitors, and I discovered a kind of cool thing through it, and that is a channel that my friend runs, or my friend's friend runs, hasn't been posting many videos, in fact, nothing in months, and he's still gaining about 150 subs a month. And I looked through at what's in his channel, and he has 2 topics, basically. He teaches Elixir, which is the thing that I do, and he's got a bunch of stuff on Ansible. And looking at the view counts on it, I realized all his Elixir videos are about 150, maybe 400 at the most views. And his Ansible tutorials are averaging about 5,000 views each. So that was yet another reminder that I am in a tiny, tiny niche.
Well, but that's also could be part of, I mean, you could be a niche builder, so you could be the person that popularizes Elixir and makes it something that becomes a much bigger thing, just like DHH was with Ruby on Rails, I
Well,
guess.
he made it, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think I am a substantial enough contributor that I am probably a small lift, like
Hmm.
0.1% or something.
But if you write a couple of great blog posts,
Blog post, yes.
yeah, a
Well,
couple of
right
great
now I'm
blog
just
posts.
providing tutorials, so yeah,
No, but what I'm saying is about lifting Elixir in the public mindset, getting more people to want to know about it.
yeah.
You
You know
know.
what I really think moves the needle, and what did it for Rails is people using it and making something, and then making money from the thing. More people like Arvid Kahl, the Feedback Panda guy, who got to 55K a month
Hmm.
in under 2
Okay.
years using Elixir. Like, I think that kind of win inspires people, but
Mm,
maybe a cool blog post.
yeah. Um. So, wanna wanna hear my updates?
I do. I know one thing. You went
What is
into
it?
like hero scalability problem solving mode.
I did. Tell me what that's about.
Wasn't that last week? Like everyone was online, so like the conferencing was overloaded, and you had to do something to scale it.
Hmm. I know not of which you speak, but that's the
Oh,
problem with my brain. It's like it's not very good. I'm not very good at recalling sequential events from memory, like that.
all right. So
But
you tell me then. What's
I've
the
forgotten what that might have been. But if I probably as we talk about it, I'll remember it. As we just talk through stuff, I'll probably go, "Oh yeah, that's what you were talking about." But let me just quickly open up what the goals were. What did I say? Um, Basically, my blood sugar was to stay in range for 90%. That was my one goal. And my other goal was on Taskflow to create, um, to finish the now screen, which is like the current task, and to finish the other screens like next wins and these sort of expanded views, medium views, and compact views. And I can show you that. I'll do a little screen share, and I know this isn't great for the people listening on podcasts, but I'll try and talk it through. Um,
Yeah, me too. How is the blood sugar?
yeah, sure. Let's have a quick look at that. So wait, Zoom's floating tools always get in the way.
Exactly.
Always get in the way. It's so annoying. So let's just first of all have a look at the blood sugar. So I had an interesting experience where, so I've been eating the exact same thing. I've been doing the same thing. Sorry. I've been basically using that chopped foundation salad thing and basically sticking with that. But at some point, my numbers started skyrocketing again. My blood
Really?
sugar numbers started skyrocketing again. And I was like, okay, why is this happening? And the only real change that I'd made, well, there was two possibilities. One was that I switched to, I guess, an older med that might have been out of date, metformin. And
Hmm.
the other one was I started eating more cheese and egg, more fat, basically just bringing more
Oh,
fat into the
okay.
diet. And so the theory goes is that the fat sort of stops insulin from working. It's an insulin blocker. And when you've got type 2 diabetes, if you have a lot of fat floating around in your blood, it's basically gumming up the insulin mechanism. So I switched both. I stopped eating fat and I switched to a more recent metformin, and my numbers went back to how they were.
So
So
one of the two.
I need to run a test to just sort of go, okay, now I'm just going to switch to the old metformin to see if it was that, and then another test where I'm just going to switch to the fat. So I'm going to run.
Doesn't cheese have lactose in it, or is it like no
Yeah,
carbs, just all fat?
it does have carbs. It does have lactose, and it could well be maybe that's like an inflammation response to dairy or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. But anyway, so while I didn't keep, so first of all, if we go ahead and change the settings here, so we're currently looking at the chart, my 2-week chart on Clarity on Dexcom.com, and I've set it to a high. I'm being stricter with myself on this chart. I've actually set it to between 70 and 180
Uh-huh.
versus 70 and 200, which is what we were looking at before. So I'm just going to quickly set it to 70 and 200.
Those are just the bounds on
They're the bounds of like
chart.
where you, because remember my goal was to stay 90%.
That's what
Yeah,
that
yeah,
refers to.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So goal was to stay in 90%. So if I go and have a look at the reports
So
there,
90% of the time under 200.
yeah, 90%. So if you look at my charts right here, you can see over the last 2 weeks, literally the last 14 days, 89% in range.
Close.
Yeah, which is close to 90% in range of 200. But I am changing those goals because I've since found out that the healthiest range, that the range that they consider the healthiest for diabetics, is to be between 70 and 180.
Hmm.
So that's my new goals. Now, if you look over the last 2 weeks, I've been 70% in range of those goals. And I think part of that is because I had that midweek, that sort of midsection where the fat just went high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 160 is still less than your average was when you first showed this to me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
I mean,
after your first successful week of this diet, I think even that week was higher than this one.
yeah. So let's go. Yeah. So that's goes to April 1st. So let's just look back. So wait, March 19. So I want to end. So let's say I will do 12 to 19. So I'm just changing the switches. That was 155. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, so the week before was 155. But anyway, if we look over the last 30 days and bring some of the bad data in there, it's 160. But
Yeah. Well, it's been a month since you told me about this diet now.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would say I'm optimistic.
So basically, this number here, which says a glucose management indicator, which is 7.1%, which is essentially the equivalent of an A1C. So diabetics get an A1C test, and that's how they really are considered, where the scale that they're considered on. So
what's an A1C?
An A1C is essentially it sort of works out the average percent of I'm not sure what the metric is, but it looks at like a sort of a 3-month period of how much blood sugar you've had in your system, and somehow there's like echoes. They do this test that somehow they discover the echoes in your biology, and it can say, okay, over the last 3 months, you've had this much sugar go through your system. I don't know how they do that, but that's what they do. And that's specifically called an A1C test. And ideally, you want to be between 5 and 6. So the perfect number is sort of between a 5 and a 6. Last time I got tested was 10.5, which
Whoa.
is like double where it should be.
Yeah.
So, if I look at my last 14 days of this, I'm on a 7.1. So I'm definitely going in the right direction towards that 5 to 6. And if I get below 6, I'm a normal range.
So yeah, as I said, I think this is awesome. Like you're still at it a month later. The thing I always wonder about this kind of diet is like, how is the compliance side for you? Like, is it hard for you to stick to this? Is it because you're looking at the numbers and kind of like sticking to the diet out of terror, or is it just a minor effort, or is it almost just habit now?
It's just a really minor effort. It's just the hack that I've been looking for that works so well. It's like that Soylent hack, it's like, I'm just thinking of this big mix, this salad mix is like Soylent. I'm just like, it's just the foundation of every meal I have, and I can make it taste different by just throwing in a few different ingredients. So it feels like I'm eating something different every time, but at the same time, it's just this constant flywheel of good roughage / nutrients going through my system.
So you've kind of replaced some willpower with knowledge, which is really cool.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, but look, you've been following me for like you've listened to 10 years worth of podcast on texting.
I have.
And you know for a fact that I have tried, I mean, like 100 different things. And the running joke is, yeah, it's fun listening to Justin try these new things because none of them are going to work, and he's going to continue to be in denial and fool himself about not being able to make this change, and he's just going to continually be a screw up, and that's the joke. That's the joke. But the funny thing is I've always said to Jason, I'm going to try so many fucking things that I'm going to find something that works.
All right. Well, congrats.
And so this is the thing, and I'm just like, I'm set now. Now I don't probably even need to talk about it anymore, other than to tell you, I got down to 7. My weight, I weighed myself the lowest between the last time I spoke to you is 214, 214.8.
Nice. And that's not even your main goal. Like, that's just a side effect.
Yeah, it's a side. It used to be a goal, but it's not a goal right now. But 214.8 is unthinkable, given that within the last 10 years, I haven't been able to get below 220. When I first came to America, I was 250. Then I put some effort in. I lost 30 pounds, but I've never been able to get below 220.
And you're like 6'1", 6'2"?
6'1", yeah.
6'1"?
Yeah. So, I'm just going to stick with it. I'm excited about it. I don't want to go up too much about it because I know it might be a boring subject, but
let's still have quick updates and maybe, harp about it a bit if you get your average under 150 or if you get your average under 140.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Little milestones.
Yeah. And obviously, the next one is if I get my weight to 210, that is completely unthinkable. The last time I was at 210 was 20 years ago. That would be astonishing. And so 210 and then 200, and then I'm going to actually look like a different person. I'll probably look like I used to look, when I wasn't fat. Well, there's a tipping point when I guess if I got below 200, say to 190, then all of a sudden my head, instead of looking like a football, will look more like just a regular person's head. So that's going to be kind of interesting. Very interesting.
That's the dream.
That's the dream. Not look like a football.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I'm kind of happy being a little bit more footballed out. My face is pretty narrow if I'm lean.
So just a quick recap on Taskflow. Let me just show you what I've done. I obviously had 2 weeks. Actually, the first week I didn't do much. I just did about 2 hours work, and I got a lot of what you're about to see done in a couple of hours. But then the second week, I've been slammed with work, but I've actually got this now. I've got a real database in existence now. So I'm just starting to build it out. So this is the web. Remember I said there's 2 different types of pages. There's web pages and app pages. Well, I've done, for example, terms, that's always a nice thing to do. Privacy, contact. Then, oh, by the way, I'm going to make that email address hello@taskflow.co.
Okay.
Hello@taskflow.co. And then this is my to-do marketing site.
Cool.
So there's a whole marketing site to do. Then I've got this, I put this little toggler so that you could, what I'm showing now is that anywhere on any page you can switch between light mode and dark mode. And I'm going to do that on the marketing site just because I can. And then I'm made a login page. So here's a simple login page that I'm showing now. And I got the forgot password stuff to work, just the basics. And that's super easy to get working because I already have it done on a bunch of other projects. So now I'm going to log in. I'm just showing you the login. So
you use Laravel, right?
Yeah, Laravel.
And they have a login, what is it? They call it they've got some auth thing.
You
don't use it.
Look, it's been a big stretch to use Laravel, but I don't. If it takes me longer than a minute to understand how their thing works, then I'm going to code it up in just an hour or whatever, because I want to understand it deeply myself. So I did that a while ago, and it's worked perfectly. So this is the Taskflow page now. Just showing you what I've done. So the main one, you already saw. This is the main sort of work in progress view, and what I've got is I've got the name of the strategy on this page. So in this case, structure procrastination. Now this isn't pulling real data. This is all dumb HTML. This isn't some of the database, but I've changed the paradigm of how I've I guess I'm taking inspiration from Trello.
Okay.
Let's say inspiration.
But I'm
Um,
gonna let me just ask a question because I'm a
yeah.
little bit lost in it. So, is this the main like, or are you talking about the main page when people go into the app? Like the first thing they'll see
No,
is
this.
this
So
is
basically, this
this is
page
if they
here.
click a strategy.
This is no. This isn't if they click a strategy. This is them working on a task, and it might be hard to understand because it's lorem ipsum. So, like,
Hmm.
this is my task to make a page about something. So that's my task, and these are my subtasks.
Gotcha.
So they say lorem ipsum is good because it takes away your emotional cognitive connection to different things. So you can just look at the design, but actually in
Hmm.
this case, lorem ipsum hurts because it makes the page ununderstandable. Um,
Yeah. Well,
so
it's kind of hard to understand even like the actual app just from looking at screens. Like at least for me, like I gotta be able to like click it and play with it.
yeah, yeah. So okay, so this page is the now page. So I think of this in the buckets of the work you're doing. You're doing work now. You're doing work soon. Next, and then you're doing work maybe.
Hmm.
So this is the actually I've decided to do this now work, and I'm working on this right now. So there's a little timer here. This little uh, so on the left hand side of the screen there's a timer. On the top of the screen there's a button to toggle on and off whether the timer's running or not. And then there's a strategy that's associated with this task. So in this case, structure procrastination. It's got 76 out of 100, so it's quite high ranking. And then there's labels, and I'm combining labels and colors here, so that this, and again, the UI isn't baked, but basically, I can apply labels and colors, which as an idea I got from Trello because I think that's good to sort of rather than think of them as tags, think of them as labels. So
Yeah.
basically, it's a color and or a word, so I can
Mm.
basically say whatever I want and I can color it. So kill two birds with one stone. So that's that screen. Then I did the next twins, which this shows the things you're just about to work on in this work session. So this is you use text area to make content editable with JS. Blah blah blah. I'm just sort of saying the same thing.
Well, oh, so next wins is a like a panel of your app. I thought that was just one strategy.
No strategies. Is I haven't done this yet, but there's going to be many strategies.
Right, right.
Basically, next wins is the ones that you've selected that you're about to just work on in this work session. So this is
Uh,
the app is for the moment of work. So you start you sit down to do a work session, then you look through your strategies, you click through different strategies like happy wife, happy life, structure procrastination, eat the frog, and then you click a few things. You think, yeah, I'm going to do that one now, and then that pushes them into next wins.
okay. Wait, so eat the frog is a strategy.
Yes, eat the frog. I mean, so there's going to be thousands of strategies. Like there's
Okay.
because many people prioritize tasks in many different ways, and the point about this system is you can pull any of those strategies in the system and you can make up your own. And eat the frog is essentially the same, similar to structure procrastination, but it's basically do the thing you hate most always
Okay.
first.
Okay.
So the work on the hate, get that out of the way. Um, yeah. So basically, this is in the next wins screen here. I'm looking at a bunch of tasks that I've selected, and this is
Uh-huh.
my expanded view. And then I'm going to click a medium view, and then I'm going to click a compact view. Does that
Cool.
make sense? And then there's going to be a search here. I mean, I haven't done it yet, but that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm getting so little time to work on it because I'm slammed in the day job, really.
Yeah. That was what I thought you were talking about with some scaling or conferencing or something about people being online, making more work.
Oh yes, that's right. You see, I told you that the more
A
we
week
spoke
ago.
about, yeah. So because I'm got 2 day jobs. One of them is with Modern Teacher, and the other one is with TrueSpace. And Modern Teacher, we've just recently, so we help school districts sort of become modernized in terms of the way that they think about education and the technology that they use. So it's a mental shift as well as a technology shift. And with the COVID stuff, we've put on webinars for teachers, and we've basically had like 2,500 teachers come onto webinars, and those teachers have brought in a lot more customers and districts and bugs for me.
Okay.
So it's basically adding that many new people to our pipeline, and bringing them in, and so that day
kept you
job
busy.
That day job, yeah.
A related thing I'm kind of curious about is, what other second order effects will we see for online marketing channels or growth channels? Because all of my podcasts except this one are down like 20%. So I get the impression people were mostly listening to podcasts while commuting before, something like that. And on the flip side, my video views are up. And I did make a couple videos this week. That was not my main goal. I was just trying to deal with the bureaucratic stuff, but made a couple videos. Views are up. I'm gaining subscribers faster than normal. So I'm thinking maybe there's this weird like podcasts lose, videos win kind of dynamic, but I don't have enough enough.
And how do you mean this podcast? What do you mean all of my podcasts and this podcast?
So I have 3 little podcasts directly related to Alchemist Camp, and those 3 are Learning Machine, where it's all solo podcasts where I just do a monologue about. It's like a kind of like a verbal, or not verbal, but a spoken blog post almost. I just do a little monologue about spaced repetition, or about something like a memory palace, something related to learning. And then I've got one that's code and bootstrapping, and most of those are monologues too. But I've done a few interviews, like with Arvid Kahl and with Jarek Reimer and some other people.
Right, yeah.
And then the third one is called the Metacast, where it's more like the mental model stuff. It's like something neat that I heard from somebody else's podcast, and I just extract that and share it really briefly. And that's why I said I'd done a short podcast on Lux surface area, because I extracted that from yours.
So you say this one isn't down, but is that just because our numbers were so low anyway?
I don't think so. Like the numbers for this one are higher than for 2 of the other 3 that I have.
So what are the numbers for this one now?
It was up to like 58 or something on Pinecast.
58 listeners?
Subscribers. Number of listens was like a few hundred on the older episodes.
How does it know how many subscribers?
So the thing is, it doesn't. Like, the reporting's really bad. I've like when I first made podcasts, I've seen it with 0 subscribers when I know my friend Liam has already subscribed. So it depends on what podcast app you're using. If you subscribe on iTunes, they'll definitely get that. If you do it on Spotify, they won't. I think if you do it on Anchor, they won't. Google Play, I'm not sure. My podcast app is called Podcast Addict, just a random Android podcast app.
Yeah.
I think that pings back and reports, but I'm not sure. So, I mean, podcasts, it's really hard to tell. So I just look more at the trend.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, it's not started off the same speed as texting did, because there are way more podcasts now, and we didn't have Peldion in episode 4, but it is growing, and I think it's probably because it's more regular.
Okay.
And it is like a small base, but we're like adding, like going from 5 episodes published to 6 is like a big shift, whereas going from like 20 to 21, not so much. But
so that is essentially me. And beyond that, I mean, I should probably launch a Nugget batch, but I even got an email from someone today saying, is Nugget dead? Because there's been no batch for like a long time. But I'm just not sure about, I don't know if it's the right time with the maybe it is the right time because of the COVID stuff. Maybe it is the right time, you know.
You
But at
know
the same
what?
time, I don't know if I want to take people's money in that way. Yeah, to say.
So I've been lazy about going through Nugget myself because there's so many other things I'm worried about. But you know what did keep on pushing me to go through
Mm-mm.
is like every few days, if I hadn't done anything, I would get an email from Laura. And I'm pretty sure it was automated, saying
Mm-hmm.
like, "Hey, like check out the next module."
Yeah, yeah,
And then sometimes I would, and sometimes I wouldn't, and I'd get another email.
yeah.
So for the people that stay subscribed to your email list, like that would be one way. Um, yeah. So what are you thinking
I could do.
still about making like a module 0 that's like a broad overview, just a quick entry point, or
Well, and I don't want to do anything that's going to take away from the time of working on Taskflow. So I have minimal time to work on side projects, and I
yeah,
don't want to do. I will sort of want to work smarter, not harder. Um, but by the same token, I do think even though Nuggets suffer, it's a version 1.0 or a version 0.1 or whatever. It does suffer from some of the stuff that we spoke about, where you want to do a low resolution, then a better resolution, then a better resolution, and it just sort of starts off high resolution. I still do think it gives really, really good information, and it gives a lot of value. So I wouldn't be opposed to opening up a batch right now, sending an email to the list and saying, hey, we're starting a new batch. The issue is I might be opposed to taking the price points potentially in the COVID type situation. So maybe what I want to do is to just do like a COVID price point, because the price point
yeah.
right now is like it's a $2,000 price point over 20 months, or you can pay like a one-time upfront 947. That's the price point right now. But that seems high to me. But if I did something like, I don't know, like a 267 type concept.
267 for one time
Yeah.
purchase.
Yes. Just.
That's a lot lower.
I mean, it's a lot lower, but we're in a different time. So people are just sort of sitting around at home right now. Maybe I should do that. Just sort of open it up for a few weeks and just say, look, in response to COVID, this is just like massively reduced. And I just
Maybe
want
379. I don't know.
379.
Yeah, because it is. You have a lot of content in there, and that's both good and bad, but it's mostly good. I've definitely gotten more value from it than like multiple other courses that I've spent like $1,000 on. So I do think 900 upfront or 1,000 upfront is a lot for a lot of people.
Well, you don't have
But
to pay. You can pay 97 per month for a
yeah,
period of time. But
I wouldn't slash it to a quarter.
what
That's
about your
extreme.
customer surplus idea that you spoke about in the last show? So all I'm saying
Yeah,
is it's COVID. All right, let's just give a lot of surplus to the end user for this
I
period.
guess it depends. So kind of like we said, I think it depends on how much of a hurry you're in to make money and how much you want to make ultimately. Like I think long term, you'll probably make more if you price it lower. You get tons of people going through it, and then some percentage of them get to the point where you're, seed investing in them or taking like a 1% advisor shares, but that's not going to be any money for a long time, or it's not going to be much money for a long time. Short term, you price it high to make more money. And I don't know, like what your short term financial picture is like. So it's kind of hard to say.
Well, in many ways, the point of Nugget is to help other people make money.
Yeah.
It's not really it's sort of to help me make money, but it's by far the main purpose of Nugget is wanting to help other people. But at the same time, it's wanting them to take it seriously. So it's sort of like a tight balance between making money, wanting people to take it seriously, making it affordable for them, getting them to stick to it, to do it. But yeah, my main motivation with anything like that is to help other people, and that's kind of like what I'm thinking about with Taskflow as well. It's to help people make better decisions in their life, and to just avoid some of the mistakes that I keep making. That I've made.
Well, there could also be, actually this would kind of tie up both ideas. Is there could also be like a simpler nugget that has maybe 10% of the information, but it's like really actionable, like the first 10% you need, that you sell for way less. And I know that like you don't have time to make a new thing right now, but that might be the ideal solution, because then you've got like a cheaper thing that widens your funnel a lot, and then you still also have the more expensive thing for people who need it.
But don't you think that there's an argument to be made that we're in an extraordinary time right now? There's a lot of people at home doing nothing, looking for stuff to do. I mean, have you seen the hashtag, I'm so bored,
No.
Yeah.
I haven't.
I think Jimmy Fallon started this hashtag, I'm so bored, So you just search for it on Twitter, and it's just hilarious, the things that people are doing, because, everyone, like, we're what, 3 weeks into this like stay at home curfew thing. And like everyone is just like sitting upside down on their sofas, like watching Netflix, and then they're so bored of Netflix they're even watching like boring documentaries
Amazon
on
Prime.
Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think this could be an interesting time to bring a whole bunch of people into Nugget at a low price point, just because it's not like I mean, what do I lose by doing that? I mean, it's not like I lose money,
No.
In fact,
nobody's going to fault you for lowering your price right now.
Right, exactly. So maybe what I should do is really, really lower it, even like $20. I'm just saying, like, get a bunch of people in, just a whole lot of people in doing it to help a whole bunch of people.
You're going to be busy on Slack if you do that.
Yeah, that's the that's a problem, because I don't have much time to do the one-on-one support stuff, which has been a major part of Nugget.
Yeah, maybe.
This is the point where I wish we had higher numbers on this show to be able to I love hearing people chime in when they listen.
So it's kind of funny. My buddy Liam called me specifically to ask about this show. And he wanted to know like how many people, like how much you cared about the audience and how much I cared about the audience and all that. And I said, I thought basically, at least for me, like anyone who's commenting something that's relevant and useful is pretty valuable. Like even just like 5 regular commenters.
Oh, that's been the same with texting the whole way along.
But
yeah,
we haven't, like neither of us have really done any, like focused on the audience at all though. Like as far as I know, other than like one Indie Hackers product page and one tweet from each of us, like there's no other link on the internet to this.
No, I know we for sure have not. Yeah,
and I haven't finished building the site. Like that's the main thing. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to tell my audience about it. But
build the site.
I think so. I there are people listening. Fabian, you just messaged me about it yesterday. Like, tell Justin what you want to say about Taskflow, please. People who are listening, just feel free to join in the mastermind.
Yeah, please do. Especially, I'm also really interested to hear people's thoughts about, should I just open up Nugget to a lot of people to get them in? And one way that I could scale that is if other people were willing to take on the support burden. So, other more accomplished web entrepreneurs were able to participate in Slack.
That seems like a good question for Twitter.
Yeah,
because you do have a ton of Twitter followers. Like you'll definitely get some responses.
So what next?
So I want to like throw in a couple last things on my goals.
Yeah,
or not my goals, but my my progress. So I'm just going to yank the screen control.
Oh, please do. Yeah.
And you can see my channel has gotten a bit more traffic from the last 2 videos. And those 2 videos I produced were both about Tailwind CSS. So one was
Tailwind. Yeah. Good plan.
how do you set up, they're both still for Elixir programmers, but one was how do you set up Tailwind CSS on Phoenix? And the other one was after you've set it up, now how do you make VS Code play nicely with it and not give squiggly underline error warnings for every every Tailwind directive that isn't standard CSS syntax. And it's definitely been going well. I've also broken 1400 MRR on Stripe, so the traffic is going up. And the thing I'm wondering about is, should I start branching? The thing I'm wondering about is, should I start branching?
The answer is yes. Yes. Should you pick niches that are really busy and bring like 10x more people? The answer is yes. That would be a very fucking good idea.
So here's the stuff I'm thinking of. Stuff that's still like deeply in the Elixir world, like Erlang. Should I start doing some Erlang videos? Runs on the same VM. Understanding Erlang will help Elixir programmers debug things. Like you'll understand error messages better. Does that make sense? Or should I start doing like a series on Vue, a series on Tailwind, a series on setting up VS Code, a series on VI, like all stuff that's useful for my audience, but is not super hardcore directed at them?
Yes, you should. So there's like a sort of a funnel on the end of. I know you don't like me using the word surface area too much, but I can't help it because it's the way I think about everything. So like there's this funnel here where there's just a shitload of people, and then there's the little parts which is like real specialization. So if you talk about Erlang, you're going down the slope. If you talk about Tailwind, you're going up the slope. So I definitely think you should move towards, or at least consider to do a big part of your. It's like investing. So it's like you're investing in like the bigger. You're doing like sort of high risk, small investing, or like just lowest common denominator investing. Mm-hmm. So I sort of think maybe you should do a mix of both. And part of the reason why you want to do the smaller stuff is because that gives you the cred and it makes people take you seriously, because it shows that you're kind of hardcore kind of guy. Wow, this guy does Erlang. He does Erlang debugging. Yeah. I mean, that's hardcore.
I think Erlang is also a more popular language than Elixir. Like I think it's about 5 times its community size.
I mean, if that's big, then that's great. I think that's perfect. I mean,
yeah.
To me, this is data proving that fact.
So just to clarify, so you're saying like the big market, like say JavaScript, that's like super high risk, high reward. But something like niching further into Elixir, it's like something that only a percentage of Elixir programmers want. That would be like very reliable, but not much of a ceiling.
Exactly.
Yeah. I may start doing some more series. I'm going to make sure it's all useful for my current subscribers. Like I'm not going to do like something directly competitive with Elixir. Like for example, I'm not going to do Laravel or something like that, but stuff they can use. All right.
Stuff to bring people into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's also, I mean, I just don't see why you couldn't do something with JavaScript that was, or Tailwind that wasn't specifically about Elixir. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I can.
Then it wouldn't be Elixir Camp, but there must be some
Alchemist. I named it Alchemist for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think do good, useful content. Just do good, useful content and bring them into your orbit. And there's probably some kind of profile of people who will be thinking about Elixir. And if you can just bring them into your orbit.
Yeah. Have you thought much about like what languages and frameworks are like really complementary with each other versus competitive?
No.
Okay. because this is something I've thought about. It's like, let's say you're already a Python programmer, or let's say you're already a Ruby programmer. Like, what do you get if you learn PHP? Versus if you're already a Ruby programmer, what do you get if you learn C? Like, they do
Yeah, that
different
makes
things,
sense.
and you'll often want to use them both together. So for Elixir, it's not really that useful to also learn like Go, for example. They're not quite the same, but there's a huge overlap in what they do.
Yeah.
But for an Elixir programmer to learn, say,
They're kind of solving
JavaScript,
similar problems. For an Elixir
or to
program to
learn
learn JavaScript, yeah.
or to learn Rust, actually, because the big thing about Elixir is it's so stable, but it's not that good at like tight loops where you've got like you really need everything you can wring out of the machine. Rust is good at that, and it's like famously safe. So if you can you can rewrite one tight loop in Rust, and then you don't have to worry about that failing and hurting your stable Elixir system. So yeah, that's kind of the framework I was thinking for what is even rational to add into my existing channel. Obviously, if it's a new channel, you could just do anything.
That makes a lot of sense. I like that thinking, yeah.
So what's next? Mental model?
Yeah, well, I don't have too much more time. I'm going to need to wrap
Okay.
up pretty soon. But yeah, if you want to do a mental model, and then we'll call it a day. Maybe just set our goals after that, and yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Actually, let's just skip the mental model. Let's probably I'm getting kind of tired too. So
Okay, no worries.
yeah,
I think we said what
come
needs to be
back next
said.
week.
I think we said what needs to be said. We don't need to like
We
labor
need
the
goals.
we don't need to like labor the point and just make the show longer just because like if
It's
we
like
have
I'm
to.
sitting like what?
Yeah, but goals for me is I'm gonna, I guess, 7.1 was where I was. I think that's the number there. So I want to bring that number down to below 7. No, so 6 point something. If I'd actually be happy if I got it, if I just stuck at 7. I'm 7.1 if I took it to 7, because every point is a big shift. So if I can get it from 7.1 to 7, that's good. But really, my stretch goal is getting it below 7. So now, problem is I probably can't do that in 1 week, because it's a 2-week measure. It's a 2-week measurement at a minimum. So let's just say from
You've got a
7.1.
2-week goal. Yeah,
Oh, can I do this 2-week goal?
sure.
I mean, for the next week, I'll just say I'm going to try and keep it to 7.1 or get to 7 by next week.
Okay.
Yeah. And then for the task flow, I want to be able to, because I started building it, I want to start dog fooding it. So I want to be able to add tasks and work with tasks, not necessarily strategies, just the basics like tasks, labels, just get the basics working. Yeah, that's my goal for that. So
All
just
right.
be able to add tasks and browse tasks. Yeah.
Let's see. So the health side, I'm going to run twice and do like weightlifting, body weight exercises twice. So 2 workouts, 2 runs. Then on the project side, I've basically done everything I can on the bureaucratic hassles side of things. Obviously, if I, once my visa is back, I'll do the next step, but that shouldn't take much time. So I'm going to focus back on Alchemist Camp again. And last week, I spent some time learning more Vue. Like I got a Vue school membership on Black Friday. I'm gonna continue on that. Like try to get through at least 3-4 hours of material, and that's really it. Just like get more recorded for Alchemist Camp. The new site, the analytics site that's still backburnered because I'm in the content treadmill. Just got to keep cranking on Alchemist Camp.
Okay. That's good.
All right. Well,
Noble goals.
Oh, one last thing.
Sure.
So did you have daylight savings time? Because you sent me a message like an hour
Yeah,
before we
I
started.
guess that must have been. I was expected to start at 8, and we started an hour later. But
So what time next week?
9 is good, just the same as
Okay.
this week. But I'll just remember that it's 9.
All right.
That's good.
Sounds good. Then
Cheers.
till then, see ya.
Okay. Ciao.